What would you do if your husband used your life savings to buy a $1 million mansion for his mistress? I'm Emma, 42 years old, and I didn't cry or beg. I made him pay dearly. At 42, I'm a senior financial manager who's spent half my life building a career and a family everyone envied. My husband, Jake, was once the man who made my heart skip with his charming smile and sweet promises. We were the perfect couple in our friends' eyes wine tastings, lavish vacations, and glowing Facebook photos. But at this age, I learned a brutal truth: even the prettiest picture can hide ugly cracks. It started a few months ago. Jake grew distant, his late-night work meetings stretching past midnight. I smelled unfamiliar perfume on his shirts. Nothing like mine. Our joint account began bleeding huge charges for restaurants I'd never been to, jewelry stores I'd never visited. I told myself I was paranoid, that a 15-year marriage couldn't crumble over a few red flags. Then, one afternoon, sorting through a pile of bills, I found a contract for a $1 million mansion. In Jake's name. Not for me. Not for us. My heart stopped. I opened Instagram, and there she was. Lila, 30, an influencer with bleach blonde hair and a fake smile. She posted a photo in front of a sprawling mansion, captioned, "My dream home, had gifted, #grateful." The comments gushed with praise, but my blood boiled. Jake had taken our life's savings money I'd earned through countless late nights to gift her. A mansion, $1 million, and I, his 42-year-old wife, was made a fool in front of the world. I could have stormed in, screamed, and sobbed, but at this age, you learn emotions don't fix betrayal. I closed my laptop, took a deep breath, and started planning. Jake thought he was slick, but he forgot one thing: I'm the one who balances the books, and I know how to settle a score. He wanted to play dirty. I'd clean up his mess and burn it to the ground. Now, put yourself in my shoes. At 42, when the world sees your husband's betrayal splashed across social media, do you forgive or fight? I chose to fight. And this is how I made Jake lose everything. Jake thought he'd outsmarted me, but he was dead wrong. While he grinned over his phone, fantasizing about his mistress in that $1 million mansion, I was crafting a plan to bury him. The morning after I found the contract, I sat at my desk, coffee cold, and got to work. First, I checked our joint bank account. The numbers screamed betrayal: $1 million gone for a mansion I'd never stepped foot in, plus thousands more on dinners, designer handbags, and watches I didn't own. Each transaction twisted the knife, but I didn't blink. I called the bank, voice like iron. "There's unauthorized activity on my account," I said. $1 million purchase I didn't sign off on. The fraud team flagged it instantly and connected me to Detective Collins, a gruff investigator who'd heard this tune before. "Send me everything you've got," he said. I'd deliver a whole library. Next, I called the real estate company, posing as Jake's assistant. With a few smooth words, I got the details: dates, signatures, payment records. The contract was in Jake's name alone, a careless slip that handed me an edge. I contacted a repossession lawyer to freeze the deal, every step locking another bar around Jake's lies. At home, I played the doting wife. "How's work?" "Honey," I'd ask, smiling as he dodged the question. Eyes on his phone. Lila's Instagram was ablaze photos of her posing by the mansion's pool, captioned, #living my best life. Each post fueled my fire, but I kept it caged. Wait. Emma. Just wait. Then came the weekend, and with it, a public gut punch. Jake insisted we host a wine tasting for our friends, a middle-aged ritual of charcuterie boards, jazz humming in the background, and chatter about retirement plans. I agreed, mask firmly in place. But as the night unfolded, Jake took center stage, wineglass in hand, boasting about his investment. "The mansion's a gem," he said, smirking. $1 million for paradise. Emma's too buried in spreadsheets to notice. "Right, babe." The room chuckled, but their glances at me dripped with pity, like I was some overstressed wife who'd lost control. My blood boiled, but I flashed a smile. "You know me, always working," I said, voice sweet. Inside, I was raging. He'd made me a laughingstock, using our money to do it. Later, alone in the dark, I scrolled through Lila's Facebook. She'd posted a video touring the mansion marble floors, glittering chandeliers, a view that oozed wealth. "All thanks to my special someone," she purred, winking at the camera. The comments gushed, "You're living the dream. Who's the lucky guy?" My phone pinged a text from my coworker, Karen. "Saw Lila's video. You cool with Jake buying that house?" My stomach lurched. The betrayal wasn't private anymore. It was a spectacle, plastered online for our entire circle to gawk at. I'd worked too hard to be humiliated like this. I could have stormed in, shoved the contract in Jake's face. But that's what he wanted, a frantic wife he could sweet-talk back to silence. Instead, I opened my laptop and added to my arsenal screenshots of Lila's posts, bank records, the real estate contract. I emailed it all to Detective Collins, who shot back, "This is airtight, we're moving fast." My pulse surged, not with fear, but with control. Jake thought he was invincible, but I was closing the trap. The next day, I overheard Jake on the phone, murmuring to Lila, "You'll be in that house soon. Babe, it's all yours." His voice oozed arrogance. I swallowed a smirk. He had no clue his time was running out. Every lie he spun, every post Lila shared, was another step toward his ruin. But would he sense the walls closing in before I sprang the trap? Part 3. Cao trao do tien va fan kang, tu Lila, tim konyon, ni bang, kon. Jake thought he was about to crown Lila queen of that $1 million mansion, but I was ready to burn his kingdom to the ground. My plan was locked and loaded, and the clock was ticking louder than ever. Detective Collins called me on a crisp Monday morning. His voice clipped. "The real estate company's on board. The mansion purchase is flagged as fraudulent. We're freezing the deed today." My heart pounded not with nerves, but with the thrill of justice. I'd spent weeks weaving this web, and now it was time to watch Jake and his mistress squirm. The repossession team was set to swoop in that evening, just as Jake planned to hand Lila the keys at a glitzy party he'd bragged about. I could already picture it: champagne flutes, thumping music, Lila preening for her Instagram followers. They'd be blindsided, and I'd be nowhere near the chaos. Perfect. That night, I stayed home, sipping tea, my phone on silent. I didn't need to be there to know how it went down. Detective Collins texted at 8:47 p.m. Repossession complete. Deed frozen. They didn't see it coming. I leaned back, a slow smile spreading. Jake's grand gesture had crumbled, and Lila's dream house was locked behind a legal wall. But the real show was just beginning. By morning, social media was on fire. Lila posted a tear-streaked Instagram video, her mascara smudged, voice shaking. "Someone's trying to ruin my life," she wailed, pacing in front of the now-sealed mansion gates. "This jealous hater won't stop me from living my truth. Stay strong." The comments erupted, some cheering her on, others sniffing out the drama. "Who's the hater?" one user asked. "Spill the tea." My lips twitched. If only they knew. But the post stung deeper when a mutual friend from our book club messaged me. "Lila's video is everywhere. People are saying you're involved. What's going on?" My chest tightened. Jake's betrayal was bad enough, but now I was the villain in their gossip. The injustice clawed at me, but I typed back, "Just rumors. I'm fine." I wasn't fine. I was furious. Then Lila escalated. At noon, she stormed into my office, heels clicking like gunshots on the marble floor. My colleagues froze, their eyes darting as she pointed a manicured finger at me. "You think you can ruin me?" she shrieked, loud enough for the entire floor to hear. "You're nothing but a bitter, washed-up wife who can't handle Jake moving on." The words cut, each one a calculated jab to humiliate me in my own workplace. My assistant, Jen, hovered nervously, but I raised a hand to stop her. I stood, voice icy. Lila, I know exactly how that mansion was paid for. Every dinner, every trinket, every cent from my account. Want to talk about bitter. Her face paled, eyes wide like a deer in headlights. She stammered, then spun around and fled, leaving a trail of stunned whispers. My hands shook, but I sat down, forcing calm. She'd tried to break me in public, but she'd only dug her own grave deeper. The fallout spread like wildfire. By afternoon, our book club's group chat was buzzing. Emma's behind the mansion drama. One member wrote, "She's so controlling. No wonder Jake strayed." Another chimed in Lila's devastated. "Emma should just let it go." My throat burned. These were women I'd shared wine and stories with, now painting me as the bad guy based on Lila's tantrum. Jake's silence was deafening. He hadn't called or texted since the repossession. But I knew he was pulling strings, letting Lila do his dirty work while he played the victim. The betrayal wasn't just personal anymore. It was a smear campaign, and I was losing allies fast. But I wasn't defenseless. Detective Collins sent another update. The fraud investigation's expanding. Jake's financial records are a mess. He's in deep. I clutched my phone, adrenaline surging. The mansion was just the start. I had more evidence screenshots of Lila's lavish purchases, Jake's secret credit card charges, even a voice memo of him promising Lila a new life. Every piece was a bullet, and I was loading the gun, but the public shaming gnawed at me. Could I keep my head high while my reputation took hits that evening? I met Sarah at a quiet coffee shop, needing her steady voice to ground me, over lattes. I spilled everything: Lila's office meltdown, the book club gossip, the weight of being labeled the jealous wife. Sarah leaned forward, her eyes fierce. "They're wrong about you, Emma. You're not the villain, you're the one fighting for what's yours. Don't let their noise drown you out." Her words were a lifeline, pulling me back from doubt. I straightened, resolve hardening. Jake and Lila wanted a war. I'd give them one they'd never forget. But as I drove home, a new message from Detective Collins lit up my screen. Jake's trying to counter the fraud claim. He's desperate. My grip tightened on the wheel. He was fighting back, and harder than I'd expected. Could I stay one step ahead before he turned the tables? Part 4, Fan Kang, to Jake Vajadin. Hung Huang Noitum. Wei Bai Hunt Hom. Haiti Formed Hom. Jake was cornered, and a trapped animal fights dirty. I'd taken his $1 million mansion, but he wasn't going down quietly. As the fraud investigation tightened its grip, he unleashed a storm to break me, and his family was right behind him. But I wasn't the same Emma who'd once trusted his lies. I was ready to strike back, even if my heart wavered. The day after Lila's office meltdown, Jake came home late, his face a mask of barely contained rage. The front door slammed, rattling the windows. He stormed into the living room, tie loose, eyes blazing. "What the hell did you do?" "Emma," he snarled, voice low and venomous. "The mansion's locked up, and now the bank's freezing my accounts. You think you can ruin me?" His words were a blade, sharp and personal. But I'd prepared for this. I crossed my arms, meeting his glare. "I don't know what you're talking about. Jake, maybe your investments aren't as solid as you thought." He stepped closer, looming, his breath hot with whiskey. "Don't play dumb. I'll sue you for everything if you don't fix this." My pulse raced, but I held my ground. "Try it," I said, voice steady. "But you might want to explain those payments to Lila first." His jaw clenched, and for a moment, I thought he'd explode. Then he turned, muttering curses, and slammed out of the house. I exhaled, hands trembling. I'd recorded every word on my phone, another weapon for Detective Collins. But Jake's threat lingered like smoke. The next morning, his family piled on. Susan, Jake's mother, showed up unannounced, her purse clutched like a shield. She sat on my couch, lips pursed, and launched into a lecture. "You're tearing this family apart," she said, voice dripping with judgment. "Jake made a mistake, but men do that. You should be fixing this, not making it worse." Her words hit hard, tapping into the guilt I'd buried, the pressure to hold a marriage together, no matter the cost. I forced a polite nod. Susan, I'm protecting what's mine. She scoffed. You're selfish. Jake deserves better. The sting was real, but I saw her game loyalty to her son, no matter how vile his actions. As she left, she tossed a final barb. Good luck finding someone else at your stage of life. The door clicked shut, and I sank into a chair, her words echoing. Was I fighting a losing battle? Then came Tom, Jake's older brother, a bulldog in a suit. He didn't bother visiting, just sent a chilling email. Withdraw the fraud claim. Emma, or I'll make sure your career tanks. My lawyer's already drafting papers. You don't want this fight. My stomach dropped. Tom had connections, and I'd seen him crush business rivals. Losing my job wasn't just a threat. It was a death sentence for the life I'd built. I forwarded the email to Detective Collins, who replied, "This is intimidation. It strengthens your case." But the pressure was suffocating. Jake's family wasn't just defending him, they were trying to erase me. The worst blow came online. Jake posted a cryptic Facebook update. Some people will destroy everything just to feel powerful. I'm fighting for my truth. The post exploded, with our mutual friends chiming in, "Stay strong, Jake. She's unhinged." My inbox filled with messages, some curious, others cruel. A former colleague wrote, "Didn't think you'd stoop this low." Emma, my book club, once a safe space, went silent, their loyalty shifting to Jake's sob story. The public shaming was relentless, a digital scarlet letter branding me as the bitter ex-wife. I stared at my phone, the weight of their judgment crushing. Had I gone too far? Was this fight worth losing everything, my friends, my reputation, my peace? I needed clarity. So I called Sarah. We met at a cozy diner, the kind with vinyl booths and bottomless coffee, a haven for middle-aged soul-searching, over greasy fries. I poured out my doubts, Jake's threats, Susan's guilt-tripping, Tom's legal menace, the online hate. Sarah listened, then grabbed my hand. "You're not the villain here," she said, voice fierce. "Jake stole your future. His family's protecting a liar, and those friends aren't worth your tears. You're stronger than this, Emma. Finish what you started." Her words were a spark, reigniting my resolve. I wasn't fighting just for me. I was fighting for every woman who'd been gaslit into silence. Sarah's own story, surviving a cheating ex at 40, reminded me I wasn't alone. I left the diner with my head high, ready to face the storm, but Jake wasn't done. Detective Collins sent a late-night text. "Jake's hired a lawyer. He's claiming you forged documents to frame him. We've got your back, but brace yourself." My heart sank. Jake was spinning a new lie, one that could flip the narrative and paint me as the criminal. The investigation was solid, but his desperation made him dangerous. Could I outmaneuver him before he dragged me down with him? Part 5. Cao Trao Kui Vatai Sin. Hoindy Foi Saw Call. 30 Thompson. Jake's lies were crumbling, but he was clawing for one last lifeline. I'd stripped him of his $1 million mansion and exposed his fraud, but he was betting on one final play to turn me into the villain. I was done playing defense. It was time to end this war and reclaim my life. The air was thick with tension when Jake burst through the door on a rainy Thursday night. His suit wrinkled, eyes wild with desperation. He didn't shout this time, just stood there, clutching a folder, his voice eerily calm. "Emma, we need to talk," he said, tossing the folder onto the kitchen counter. "I've got proof you faked those bank records. My lawyer's ready to file charges tomorrow unless you drop the fraud claim." My stomach twisted. He was bluffing. I knew my evidence was ironclad, but the audacity of his lie was chilling. He leaned in, voice dropping to a whisper. "Come on, babe. We can fix this. Drop it, and I'll cut Lila out for good. We'll start over." His words were a twisted echo of the man I'd once loved, but they only fueled my resolve. I picked up the folder, flipping through blank pages and scribbled notes. Pure theater. Nice try. Jake, I said, tossing it back. But I've got something better. I pulled out my phone and played the recording from our last fight, his voice, raw and threatening, promising to sue me. His face drained of color, lips parting in shock. You recorded me? He stammered. I stepped closer, voice like steel. Every word. And that's just the start. The bank has your transactions. The real estate company has your signature. And Detective Collins has a file thick enough to bury you. I slid a stack of divorce papers across the counter. Sign these, Jake. Walk away, or lose what little you have left. His hands shook as he stared at the papers, the weight of his defeat sinking in. For a moment, I saw the man I'd married charming, confident, but he was gone, replaced by a coward scrambling for scraps. He grabbed the pen, scribbled his name, and stormed out, the door slamming in his wake. I exhaled, the silence ringing with victory. But Jake wouldn't go quietly. The next morning, my phone lit up with notifications. He'd posted a video on Instagram, a pathetic attempt to rewrite history. I've been betrayed, he said, voice cracking, eyes glistening with fake tears. My wife framed me, turned my life upside down. I just wanted a fresh start. The comments were brutal. Some bought his act. Others smelled the lies. Poor Jake. She's ruthless. My former book club friends shared the video, their messages flooding in. How could you do this to him? The betrayal cut deep, but I wasn't alone. Sarah rallied our true allies, reporting the video for harassment. By noon, Instagram removed it, citing policy violations. Jake's last gasp had fizzled, and the tide was turning. With Jake's signature on the divorce papers, I felt a weight lift. The fraud investigation was wrapping up, and Detective Collins called with the final nail Jake's facing charges. The evidence is overwhelming. I thanked him, my voice steady but my heart soaring. The man who'd tried to steal my future was finished, and I was free. That weekend, I started rebuilding. I signed up for a mentorship program for women entrepreneurs, a spark of ambition I'd buried during my marriage. I painted my living room a bold sapphire blue, erasing Jake's sterile beige. On Sunday, I hosted a backyard barbecue, ribs sizzling, craft beers chilling, country music strumming through the speakers. Sarah and a handful of loyal friends raised their glasses, toasting to new beginnings. Laughter filled the air, a sound I hadn't heard in months. As the sun set, I stood on my deck, watching the glow fade, and felt something I'd almost forgotten: peace. Jake's world had collapsed, but mine was just beginning. His lies, his mistress, his mansion, they were shadows now, fading in the rear view. I'd fought for my truth, and I'd won. Looking back, I realized this wasn't just about revenge. It was about rediscovering the woman I'd let slip away, the one who dreamed big, laughed loud, and never backed down. As I sat by the fire pit that night, I thought about the future, a new business venture, a trip with Sarah, a life that was mine, unshackled. Jake thought he'd broken me, but he'd only made me stronger. And to anyone watching, here's my truth no matter how deep the betrayal. You can rise, you can win.